I'm Beth Perel speaking to Gina Burko-Solomon. She's the Chief Development Officer for the Adult Literacy League. I understand you're looking for some volunteers, Gina, so we're going to talk about that. But let's begin with your mission. So tell us about the Adult Literacy League.
Sure. Well, our mission is to educate adults to become self-sufficient members of society, and additionally, we advocate in the community on behalf of adult and family literacy. So since 1968, we've been serving Central Florida adults wanting to learn to read and write, and in recent years, speak and compute in English as well.
And so it's not just opening the old-fashioned books anymore?
It's not. It's not. So much of everything we do in everyday life is, has to do with computers and technology. So, for example, filling out a job application, you have to do all of that online. And when you don't read very well, obviously it's difficult to fill out on paper, but throw in some lack of access to technology and lack of experience with technology makes the process even more difficult. So that's something that we've had to address within our programs and services in recent years, and the population of adult students that we're serving mirrors our Central Florida population. We're really diverse, and about 75% of the 1,000 students or so we're serving every week are English language learning students coming from 85 different countries around the world and speaking 50 or so different languages. So English language literacy is a huge part of what we do today as well.
And again, that's different than even a few years ago?
It is. It is. We developed our ESOL program, so English for Speakers of Other Languages. We first started officially offering program services in ESOL services in 2005, but today, just a few years later, or 11 or so years later, I joined the league in 2005, and ESOL was my background and area of expertise. It's really just changed the way we deliver programs and services. It's a huge part of what we do. We still serve adults who are wanting to learn to read and write. That's the core and the basis of our program, but it's just evolved over time.
And so 75% are the second languages. We're going to talk in a moment about volunteers. Do they need to know the other language?
Yeah. They don't. The policy, so we train volunteers to serve as one-to-one tutors and small group classroom instructors, but the experts in the field will tend to agree that it's probably better that you don't have another language, and then you don't have that to fall back on. You're forced to communicate in English only. But in order to be eligible for match with a volunteer tutor, our students, we have a no English, no tutor policy. So they have to be able to communicate at least minimally in English to be able to do something like, set your first appointment with your tutor over the telephone, and telephone's really difficult for non-native English speakers. So they have to be able to speak English well enough to be able to communicate with an English-only speaker.
And something else you mentioned that I wanted to underscore was the idea of computing. So that idea of doing the math and the calculating the budget and all of those kind of things that we need to do, you need to be able to read to do that.
Absolutely. And we're seeing our school district, or Orange County Public Schools, and in Seminole County at Seminole State College, they have great GED programs for adults and young adults and adults of all ages wanting to get their high school equivalency. And in Florida, the GED is the same thing as a high school diploma. But the way instruction is provided generally is in this big classroom. It's self-guided study on the computer. You have one facilitator for 40 or so students, and that just doesn't work for everybody. So we are seeing a lot of students who are maybe higher level than we used to serve, in that they're reading at a higher grade level, maybe at an 8th or 9th grade level, and they have post-secondary aspirations but can't pass the GED test. So we're having to provide subject area instruction in those areas, and also prep on the computer because it's a completely computer-based test. So we're having to provide more, instruction on just the basics, even like keyboarding and what does cutting and pasting mean for somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience on a computer can be really overwhelming. So as the students that we see that our population changes and evolves, then their needs to have as well.
And as you say it, I mean, it's almost talking about the basics of it. But when you look at, say, a website, it's very complicated because you can click over here and you're on one article, and then you click over here and you're on another. And meantime, there's something in the middle that's running down the screen. So it can really make it confusing to process all of the messages.
Exactly. Not just for, somebody who doesn't speak English very well, but for somebody who doesn't read very well. It's confusing and overwhelming. And I mean, I think about myself not being the best with technology and having to ask my children, what does this mean? What does this message mean on my computer? But for somebody who doesn't read very well, it can be really overwhelming.
Well, yeah, that's bringing in the jargon too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But so, I think of that old-fashioned, I'm opening a book to read for fun. But I know that people have come to you for many reasons, many things they want to accomplish, and they want to improve their reading to accomplish that particular thing. So is that still the case that people might say, I'm looking for that new job, or I want to get a driver's license, or those kind of things? Are they still in the mix?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Driver's license is always a really big one, and a lot of times the adults we're serving will do things for their kids that they won't do for themselves. So we hear a lot that they want to be able to read to their children and help their children with their schoolwork, and sometimes communicate in English with their children. They don't have any idea what's happening in the classroom, and they'll get notes and not understand what they mean. So a lot of times it's children motivating the parents to get some assistance.
And don't you actually have a program along that lines in terms of passing out books to children?
We do. We have a family literacy program. It's called the Read to Me Book Club, and we work. It works in two ways, really. One, we serve in Orange County Head Start centers, a select number of Head Start centers, health clinics, and VPKs in Title I and low-income at-risk areas, providing, and through the classroom, the teacher kind of serves as the intermediary, providing a series of quality children's books. In addition to the books, we send educational materials so that there's an activity to be completed with each book in the series. And I think at year end, there's potential for each family participating to get about 30 books in the home. We're looking at changing the behavior of the parents and the caregivers. So the focus is on helping the parents know how to engage their children with, and to be the first and most important teacher in their lives. So, activities, not just reading the book, but activities to do that relate to the book, and to really spark a love of reading in the children early. And then this year we branched out a bit and have been experimenting with a program. It's called Read to My Baby program, and it's focused on infants to children from infancy to age 2, with books and manipulatives, and teaching parents about the importance of really early literacy intervention and what that means to children's success in education from the get-go.
What's the follow-up on that? Since you've had the family program in place for several years, what have you seen come of it?
We are seeing measurable things like families that have never used library services. Now they all have library cards, and they're using the library on a regular basis. We follow, I didn't mention last time, so we serve through the Head Start and VPK centers, but additionally the adults who are participating in our in our adult programs have the opportunity to participate in this family literacy program. We call it our Mail Away Book Club. So they work at their own pace. They get a book and an activity, and then they complete an assessment, a really simple assessment sheet that says, here's what we liked, here's what we didn't like, here's what we learned, and we're ready for the next book. And then the next book goes in the mail to them. So we're seeing, in tracking through the Head Starts in the classrooms, we're seeing much more regular participation, regular library participation, and just lots of great, anecdotal stories about, it's always heartbreaking for us to send a survey out and ask a family how many books they have in the home, and they say, oh, we have a lot of books, we have 5, or we have 10, and then, at the end of a series, then they've got 40 books in their home, and then they have an opportunity to participate another year. And so just putting good quality materials in the hands of families who are really at need is the goal.
So since you mentioned the library, I'd like you to talk about that. Do you have a formal relationship with the library? I know, for example, some of your tutors and their tutoree meet at the libraries. What tutoree?
Yeah.
I made up a good word there, huh?
That was good. I like that. Yeah, we do. We have formal arrangements or agreements, memorandums of understanding with all. We serve Orange, Osceola, and Seminole counties, so we have relationships with each of the county library systems. We probably work most closely with the Orange County Library. Makes up the biggest, the biggest. Our office is located in Orange County, and it's the where we're able to most intensively, I guess, serve Orange County. We provide. We have a kind of a reciprocal arrangement with Orange County. They provide our tutors who are affiliated with the Adult Literacy League, free space. Normally it's, I think, a $25 fee to reserve the private meeting rooms that they have. They offer this to our tutors for free, and we provide, I think, we may be up to 20 or so English language conversation classes at different branches of the library at different times of the week that are open to both Adult Literacy League students and Orange County Library System patrons. So we have classes in Osceola and in Seminole counties as well. But yeah, they refer students to us, and we encourage our students. One of the outcomes that we measure is library usage. So we have a great working relationship.
So it sounds also, by virtue of the tutors meeting there, that you're trying to make this logistically possible for people to show up with the tutor, because if they have to drive far away, it's going to be difficult to make it. So
Absolutely.
They can meet nearby where they live.
Absolutely. That's what that's the goal of our program, is to bring it to the people. It's nearly impossible for many of the students that we're serving to get to where we are. It's a couple of bus rides and work schedules. So the goal is, and when we work to match our tutoring pairs, our students and tutors, the first thing that we look at is geographics, so where they are, and then when they can meet, and then we look at other kinds of preferences. I want to work with an English language learner, or I don't want to work with an English language learner, those kinds of things. It's based on geographics, and without the library partnerships, it would make it really difficult. We don't allow our tutors and students, for obvious safety reasons, to meet in the home. Some pairs meet in public places like a Starbucks or Panera, someplace they can tuck themselves away in a quiet corner. But generally, most of our tutor-student pairs meet in different branches of the library system.
Now, I wanted to talk about the other programs you have, like the English as a Second Language classes, and you do some of those where you're located, right? And some are in the library too, so that people have options?
Yep, We sure do. We have, I think we're at about 40 or so classes a week. And if you go to our website, which is adultliteracyleague.org, there's a button right on the first page that allows you to click on class schedules. And it tells you day by day what classes we have going on where. We have our office here on Michigan Street. We're open Monday through Saturday, and we have classes every day of the week here. But in addition to the classes that we have here, we have classes in Kissimmee at the main library, in all over Orange County, just about, well, nearly every branch of the Orange County library system, the South Trail branch, not downtown, but so many of the Hoffner, the Southeast library branch. But and then we also have classes in Seminole County at the Oviedo branch of the library and at the Castleberry Library, all over, all different times, mornings, afternoons, evenings, weekends, to try to make it most convenient for everybody. So chances are somebody's going to be able to find at least one class that they can come to. And the classes provide a really great supplemental are the guts of our program as our one-to-one tutoring program, but the more that they're able to do, the more that our students are able to do, the better. So these classes provide supplemental activities, and while they wait on the waiting list to be matched with a tutor, it's a great opportunity to get started. It's takes so much guts and courage to walk in the door, to call and to say that they don't read very well, or that they need help being understood. And so it seems cruel to make them have to then wait 3-4 months to be matched with someone without being able to get started. So these classes that we have offer the opportunity to get started.
And then the students who are working on their GED, how does that unfold?
Yeah, we have lots of students who are working with one-on-one tutors who are working on GED materials. But we, in 2014, it was a volunteer-led project, and we call it our GED Lab. And it is it's designed for really intensive. It's for a high level student, so somebody reading at least an 8th or 9th grade level, and we provide assessments to determine that. We have an assessment that we use here. It's a really easy tool and not very intimidating for students. It's really hands-on and high touch. So we determine that the student is able, level-wise, to participate in the group, in the class, and it's an intensive 10 to 12-week program, 2 days a week, and it's just hammering the 4 subject areas. So reading and language arts, science, social studies, and math. And we have volunteers providing a few hours instruction in each of the subject areas, and really just working helping the students work through the prep books and remediating areas of weakness, and teaching them about writing a good essay and all those good things. And then the best part and the most exciting part of that project is that we receive United Way, Heart of Florida United Way funding to be able to keep that program going. It was, like I said, a volunteer initiated and implemented program, pilot program that was really successful for us, and United Way picked it up and now funds. So we're able to, oftentimes, one of the biggest barriers to being successful on the GED is the cost. It costs $132 to take the test, and if you don't pass it the first time, it adds up quickly. So we're able to, the students who are participating in our GED lab, we're also able to pay for them to take the test, and we found that it takes our students sometimes a couple or a few times to pass. So it just removes that one more barrier from them.
So let's talk volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
What do volunteers do, and how do you train them up to do it?
Yeah, well, it's a really simple process. A lot of people are, call and are worried that because they don't have an education background that they might not be successful, or it might not be for them, and that's not at all the case. I started myself as a volunteer in 1999, and so we have a formal training. It's part of it is done online through our website, adultliteracyleague.org, and then there's a 4-hour in-person training that really is designed to introduce the potential volunteer tutors to what their student might look like and act like and what their needs might be, and to introduce them to the kinds of materials that we use, and to kind of model what a tutoring session might look like. And then in addition to the tutor training, we provide 4 to 6 times throughout the year continuing tutor education on a myriad of different topics with professionals, partners, community partners from UCF and the school district, and specialists, learning disability specialists, to keep our tutors learning all the time as well. We ask our volunteers for a year commitment, but we ask our students for the same thing, because we know that it takes time to build the relationship and for progress to happen. So we ask for a year commitment, and we ask for an hour a week. More is better, but an hour a week is good.
I like that you said you don't have to come into the door, with some kind of expertise. That's anybody can do this.
Absolutely.
Why do your volunteers do it? Do they talk about that?
Oh yeah, I at least once or twice a week I hear how from volunteers about how much they get out of it. It's all about relationship. So many of our students didn't succeed in a traditional education environment. They were too shy to raise their hand, or too embarrassed, or too nervous, and that one-to-one experience is the best remediator, and it helps to they're building a relationship, and so they're comfortable asking questions, and they're comfortable once they're getting to know each other, they're comfortable. English language learners, like I said, was my area of expertise when I joined the staff, and I love getting when the student gets so comfortable and can ask you questions, really funny questions. I had a student once tell me that she was afraid to use the word for those things that you put on your bed to cover your mattress, sheets, because she was afraid that she was pronouncing it incorrectly and going to be saying a naughty word.
Yes.
And so when you reach that level of comfort and building that relationship, so that when progress happens, it's really a fun thing.
That's a very revealing example too. That's something we wouldn't necessarily think of would be a concern someone would have.
Yeah. And she said, I just never, and she worked in housekeeping, and she said, I'm always afraid to say that word, and how is that the right word, and how do you pronounce that? And so, yeah, it's everything is a lesson, and we tell our tutors, you can't break your student, and anything that you're teaching, everything is a lesson, and just serving as a mentor is just such a rewarding thing anyways.
So do people really stay together for that year?
Yeah, we do see. I think it's, I'm not 100% sure of what the stats are today, but I think it's generally at least 70% or so of our pairs make that commitment. And I don't want that the 1 year to scare anybody off. We make exceptions all the time, but for the one-to-one tutoring program, we really we prefer that 1 year is there, just because it takes a long time to get comfortable with each other. And but for example, we have college students who are home for the summer and want to help and want to do things, and so we'll set up something like a 6-week computer lab, and we'll have young folks here in the office teaching our students how to set up a Facebook page, or how to apply for a job online, or how to apply for benefits online, or all of those things are done online, and so there are opportunities for more short-term short-term volunteer assignments, but for the one-to-one tutoring program, we generally ask for a year.
Well, go ahead and let people know how to get started with that.
Sure. Check out our website. It's www.adultliteracyleague.org, and on the front page is a bar, and you click on Get Involved, and it tells you how to become a tutor. It's really simple. There's just a quick online orientation, just a little bit of reading, and then you'll send your information electronically. It'll come to our program manager, Stacy McKenna, and our volunteer coordinator, Sarah Tarico, and one of the two will get in touch with you right away to get you set up for our in-person training, which happens here at our office a couple times a month at varying times, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening, sometimes on the weekend, so that we can best accommodate, everyone who's looking to volunteer. But it happens a couple times a month. Or you can call us at 407-422-1540, and any one of us here at the office can help you get started.
Well, it's been good talking to you, Gina. Anything we missed out on that we want to bring up now?
I don't think so. We have we're active on Facebook, so check us out on Facebook. We're always doing fun things. We have a new partnership with a new community member, which is the Lucky's Market in East Orlando. The grand opening was today, and they've been a really generous community partner, and we'll be having an event coming up in July there at the Lucky's Market, like I said, close to Alafaya and 50. It's on East Colonial. Some local best-selling romance writers have a new book coming out, and they're going to be donating 30% of their proceeds to the Adult Literacy League, of their first week's proceeds. So it'll be a fun event to come out and check out Lucky's Market and check out Adult Literacy League. We can tell you about our program in person. So we have that coming up, but check us out on Facebook, Adult Literacy League of Central Florida.
Gina Burko-Solomon is Chief Development Officer for the Adult Literacy League. I'm Beth Perrell. I'm Beth Perrell.